Hi, everybody, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 11 of High Scores, High Stakes, the podcast that uses the Force. I'm your host, as always, Mr. Lava Lava, and with me is... There's nobody here. It's just me. That means there's nobody to ask me how I'm doing, so I'm just going to pretend that someone out there listening has asked me how I'm doing. I am doing very, very well on May the 4th, which is, of course, Star Wars Day. So happy Star Wars Day to those that celebrate. And we are celebrating Star Wars Day by doing a challenge in a Star Wars game. I had hoped it would have been a good Star Wars game, but unfortunately, we went with Star Wars Demolition. And the challenge this week in Star Wars Demolition is Hunt-a-Droid mode. Whoever kills the most amount of droids wins the challenge, which is the perfect time to tell all you new listeners, because we all know every episode is somebody's first episode. And we are High Scores, High Stakes, the internet's only competitive PlayStation podcast, where myself, Cardinal Smith, and Tomahawk compete against one another in a PlayStation Gaming Challenge League table, where every week we pick a game and we play a challenge in that game. The winner of the challenge gets 3 points, second place gets 2 points, and third place gets 1 point. Whoever leads the way by the end of our seasons, which last 12 weeks, wins the coveted, highly sought after, nobody here to model it this week for me, but we win the High Scores, High Stakes Cup. And after 10 games, the league table looks something like this. In the Cardinal position is, unsurprisingly, Cardinal Smith with 24 points. He pretty much started the season there, and it's looking like he's going to end the season there. In second place is my nemesis, my rival, the man who has ran this race with me the whole way, neck and neck. It is, of course, Tomahawk on 33 points, but leading the way, pretty much have done all season, apart from the odd blip here and there. It is me, of course, on 33 points. Those new listeners will be going, well, hold on a minute. You're on 33 points. Tomahawk's on 33 points. What's going on here? Why are you top and not Tomahawk? Well, it's quite simple, listener. I am top by virtue of the greatest rule in sporting endeavor. I am there because of alphabetical order. And if I win this season on alphabetical order, I will lord it over Tomahawk all the same. I am going all the way this year, and I am shooting to become the first ever 3-time High Scores, High Stakes champion. I'm shooting to become the first ever back-to-back season cup winner. I am here to take it all, and I am not going to let a man like Tomahawk stop me from doing that. But that is who we are. That's what we do. And that is the state of play after 10 games, which means it is the part of the podcast where I usually ask my co-hosts, what are you playing? But there's nobody here to answer that question. So what I'm going to do, dear listeners, is I'm throwing it out to you. And I'm asking you to do me a favor here. What I want you to do is write in the comments one game you're playing this week and tell me what it is, what it's about, and whether or not I should play it, because season's near over, which means I'll be looking for games to play in my spare time rather than grinding away on terrible, terrible games like Star Wars Demolition. But I'm going to tell you what I've been playing anyway. There's one game I've been playing that I can't talk about because it is, of course, redacted, and it is redacted until some point this week. I can't remember the exact time, I can't remember the exact date, but I have been playing a lot of it. But expect words on that either on this podcast as a side quest or on the YouTube channel, where I will do a full-on review of that game. Another game I've been playing is a recent addition to the PlayStation Plus gaming library. It is one of Mr. John Sherry's all-time favourite games. It is the game he's been shouting at me to play for years. I am, of course, talking about the Crew Motorfest, which is, quite simply, it's fantastic, to be honest, Mr. John Sherry. Mr. John Sherry, I know you're listening. Let me just take a moment here and say, I'm sorry that I didn't listen to you much earlier on the Crew Motorfest, because I have been loving it. For those of you who don't know what the Crew is, the Crew was an open world racing game developed by Ubisoft, and I think it released in like 2015, maybe the first one. The Crew Motorfest is Ubisoft's attempt at Forza Horizon, and do you want to know what? Yeah, it's good. Is it as good as Forza Horizon? Maybe not, but it's still a pretty superb arcade racing game with a lot of different racing modes. There's a drifting mini game, which is exceptional. There's drag racing, which reminds me very, very, very much of Need for Speed Underground. And there's, of course, point-to-point racing, and there is the whole open world to explore. It is set in Hawaii, and it looks spectacular, and it plays really, really, really well. I'll be battering my way through the Crew Motorfest for the foreseeable future, I think. But yeah, that's really it. One game I can't talk about, one game that I want to talk about, we'll put it that way, and you'll probably see me playing it online. If you see me online and you're on my friends list, jump in and let's have a race or two. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. So, as I said, you tell me in the comments one game you've been playing. And this seems really quick, but I think it's time to get stuck into the challenge this week. So let's not waste any more time. Let's turn on our lightsabers and let's get straight into Star Wars Demolition. Okay, so Star Wars Demolition challenge time. The challenge, as I said at the top, is very simple. We are playing Hunt-a-Droid mode, and it gives you 3 minutes to hunt and kill as many droids as you possibly can. The winner is going to be the person who kills the most, and the person who gets 1 point is going to be the player who kills the least. If you do not know what Star Wars Demolition is, I do not blame you, because it is one of those games that I was familiar. Well, I was aware that it existed, but I don't think I've ever played it until this week. It is a Star Wars game in the style of Twisted Metal, and it is developed by Luxoflux, who people out there might remember for the Vigilante 8 series, which, to be fair to Vigilante 8, it was a good game series. Was it as good as Twisted Metal? People will debate all day long that yes, it was. Some will argue that it was indeed better than Twisted Metal. Is Star Wars Demolition better than Twisted Metal? Absolutely not. It is not. It looks rough. It plays rough. And it has a lot of issues. But I'll talk about the game as we watch the gameplay. So it is a high score challenge, effectively. Who gets the highest score is going to win the challenge. And our running order is going to be the same as it is every week. I am going to start in 3rd place, and we will work our way up to 1st place. So the running order for tonight is going to be Cardinal Smith, it is going to be Tomahawk, and it is going to be me to wrap it all up then. So let's not waste any more of your time, and let's get into Cardinal Smith's gameplay for Star Wars Demolition. I cannot wait. And here we are then, Cardinal Smith's gameplay then. So you will notice that we have picked Tatooine, and we have selected the level, I think it's called the Sarlacc Pit. Cardinal has opted to go with Boba Fett, which is interesting. And you will notice that there's a lot going on the screen here. So that top left-hand corner is your mini-map, and it will tell you where the droids are. Sometimes the droids are in green, sometimes they are red dots. I have no idea what the green means. I think that the green means it is the bot that you're currently locked on to. The lock-on system in this game is auto lock-on, so the computer will make the decision of what bot you are aiming for. And that leads me to talk about the first issue I find with this game. I don't know if the other two find it, but I'm sure I can ask them and put answers on social media for you. But I find that sometimes you were chasing a droid, trying to kill it, and another droid would fly past you, and it would automatically select that second droid rather than the one you were actively trying to kill. Now, that is a big issue. Another big issue I found is the movement is fairly fine, but it does feel like you're either you're full on accelerating or full on braking with and Cardinal Smith has just went into the Sarlacc Pit. All this does is it takes some of your health and some of your armor, and then more importantly for this challenge, it eats a significant chunk of time. I don't know what the time is, but it feels long. In the top right hand corner of your screen there, you'll see Cardinal Smith's HUD. It tells you that his armor, which is the blue bars, his health, which is the green bars. And I don't know what the red bar is, but there is a mechanic that Cardinal Smith doesn't seem to be aware of, where if you hold the shoot button, you can charge it up. And it will then send out like a volley of 3 laser blasts at once. But the game doesn't really communicate that with you. Maybe it does in the story mode. Maybe there's a tutorial. I'm sure there are. But right now, Cardinal Smith has about 45 seconds and he's on 16 droids killed, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually not too shabby, to be honest. Now, like every challenge we do, I have no idea. We have no idea how each other do. So oftentimes in these challenges, it's you go by feel. Does that feel like a good score? This game has 3 trophies associated with the Hunt-a-Droid mode. You get a bronze trophy for killing 10 in a 3-minute round. You get a silver trophy for killing 20 in a 3-minute round, and you get a gold trophy for killing 30 in a round. So by my thought process on this was, well, 30 is clearly what the developers deem a good score. So I was shooting for, let's see how close to 30 I can get, or if I can get more than 30. I have no idea what the maximum score is on this mode, but if it wouldn't be much higher than 30. Cardinal Smith then, right now, is leading the way. If it stays like this, Cardinal Smith's going to walk away with 3 points, which, to be fair to Cardinal, he desperately needs in order to close that gap going into the next challenge episode's is the finale. So he needs points on the board. So right now, Cardinal has finished his round with 23. And you can see there on the screen, it says good. That is a good score. So I don't know. I don't know. 23 to me feels like a good score. You'll notice a lot of stuff going on in the gameplay, but I'll talk about more gameplay as we go. So right now, Cardinal Smith is in prime position to take home 3 points. If myself or Tomahawk cannot beat that, then that's the way it's going to finish. But I don't know how Tomahawk is done. So there's only one way to find out. Let's get to Tomahawk's run now. And here we are then with Tomahawk's gameplay, and he has went for the Scout Walker, the ATST. And one thing I've noticed is I did not pick the Scout Walker because I thought it would have been slow. Doesn't seem slow at all. It seems pretty fast, to be fair to you. But there is this weird, well, it's not weird. I get what they're going for. They're going for weight. But there is a pretty pronounced screen bob effect every time its foot goes down, which just makes the screen shake around, which doesn't look very helpful to the cause here. But yeah, as I was saying, moving around in this game is fairly fine. You're either full acceleration or full brake. You seem to be able to just turn on a sixpence. A lot of times you hit the brake button, it'll just instantly slow you down to almost a stop, and then as soon as you hit accelerate, it doesn't punish you at all. It just seems to be your full maximum speed all the time. Again, Tomahawk doesn't seem aware about the hold down the shit button to get the burst. You will notice though that there is a lot of I don't know what they're called, but they're like big woolly elephants walking around. They are level hazards in this game, and if you shoot them, they will charge in a straight line, and they can knock you about if they run straight into you. But more importantly for this challenge is they can block the droids. Now you will notice the droids move around absolutely rapidly, and this was one of my big issues with this. I like games where enemies and players have the same rules. The enemies do not play by the same rules as the player at all. They move far more rapidly than the player does, but they can also move over hills and through terrain, and they can literally drive up vertical walls, which you cannot do, which if you're chasing them, and you will notice here, Tom, he was chasing in a straight line a bot, but his shots were all missing. The aiming is, I don't know how it works, but it's not good. You can literally be right behind a bot shooting in a straight line and you're just not hitting it because the game decides you're not hitting this. By the same token, you can just fire a random laser across the map and seemingly hit them every single time. Every kill only takes one direct hit, by the way. But it doesn't make it any easier. Right now, he's got about 20 something seconds left and he's on 31 kills. So already, Tomahawk has absolutely smashed Cardinal Smith's score and he's on for a golden trophy here, which is crazy. 35 kills with about 5 seconds left, and he's chasing down a bot here, and he was 36 kills. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call droid hunting. That seems like a really good score to me. So it does. It's a gold trophy. It has put him ahead of Cardinal Smith. So as it stands right now, Tomahawk is going into the finale, top of the league. And Cardinal Smith is picking up 2 points. But yeah, Demolition. There's a lot that can be said about this game, but I think I will leave that until we see the big dogs gameplay. That's me, by the way. I'm this podcast big dog. I'm the leader, the host, the savior, the soon-to-be first ever 3-time champion and first ever back-to-back champion. I'm going the whole heap. I don't want to spoil how I've done, but this episode has just got a lot more interesting. Let us hop into the cockpit. Let us get back onto the deserts of Tatooine and let's hunt some droids. Let's go. And here we are then, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on the the desert of Tatooine, and I have went for I think it's called the land speeder, the thing that Luke Skywalker drives to Obi-Wan Kenobi's cave in A New Hope. I'm pretty sure it's called the land speeder, but yeah, you will notice that I opened up the round there with the charged volley of lasers, and this is what I'm talking about. You see me chasing a droid there. I'm missing it for reasons beyond my comprehension, because the game just decides, do you want to know what? No, you cannot hit this droid. So a lot of the time I find you just need to be right close to them, and even if you touch them with your vehicle, they will explode. And you'll notice there I got a nice wee double kill. Make a droid explode close to another droid and both of them will die and you'll get 2 kills. But there you go, you'll just drove through one there, because sometimes just driving through them is easier than trying to hope the game registers a hit for you. And another pretty rapid double kill. So I have about just under 2 minutes and I'm on 13 kills. Yeah, there's the 13th confirmed. And we're doing well here. We'll keep this rate up. We will be on about 40 kills, which would be absolutely incredible scenes for the podcast. Near going to the Sarlacc pit, but managed to claw back. If you go near the edge of the Sarlacc pit, now make this make sense. I'm in a land speeder, which is anti-gravity, has no contact with the ground, yet when you go near the edge of the Sarlacc pit, it makes tire screeching sounds. Now, I'm fairly certain it's tire screeching and not the Sarlacc itself making noises, because it's a weird sound effect, and it's clearly left over from the Vigilante 8 PlayStation port, so it is. But yeah, right now we've got about a minute left, and I've just confirmed my 26th kill. We are going great guns here. My tactic for this was I played, I think it was about 13 sort of runs at this, and I think this was like number 11. But I noticed that the enemies always come in the same spot, so my idea was charge up the 3 laser volley and drive to where they spawn in, and then just sort of go to the closest cluster of bots. I tried not to go to where there was just one bot, and tried to go to where they were sort of clustered around and sort of hope that I can get them killed nice and quickly. And it's worked. Now, my kill rate has dropped massively. I've got 16 seconds left and I'm on 34 kills and 10 seconds left with 35 kills and I need one more kill. There we go. That is another one. And now I'm in trouble because all the bots are down in a part of the level where it's a dead end. If you go down there, you have to reverse the whole way back up, and that is slow. But that is the end of my run. And for audio listeners, I also got 36 kills. Now, let us talk. Before we get into the league table and what it does for the league table and what it means for going into the finale, let's talk a little bit about Star Wars Demolition. Is it a fun game? Yes, I had fun for about 30 minutes with this game because it's Twisted Metal meets Star Wars. What is there not to love about this game? And the answer to that question is pretty much everything when you get beyond the fact that it is Twisted Metal meets Star Wars. Let's talk about it. It's a PlayStation 1 game, okay? And it was made to coincide, to sort of cash in on the hype of the Phantom Menace and the launch of the new trilogy, the prequel trilogy that everyone loves and reveres. This day is some of the finest cinema ever put to the silver screen. But it has issues, and I think it has massive issues. Now, we don't play these games for very long. I think I put in maybe an hour into Star Wars Demolition before I tapped out, went on the what? I've had enough. And I've covered some of them already. The aiming system is brutal. The game decides whether or not you're going to hit something. Now, I get that where you shoot your lasers, they will fire from a straight line from in front of you. So if the enemy is strafing, you're going to miss it. You need to fire, kind of like what you do in Space Invaders. You need to fire where the ship is going to be rather than where it was. I get that. But when you're chasing them from behind, straight on, you should be hitting them. But the game decides, nope, until it randomly decides, okay, you can have this kill confirmed. And it will do that. It is frustrating. Another frustration I had with this game was with the auto targeting system. Like the controls, I think you push circle to switch between targets if it does, and it changes that target you don't want. But in my experience, it only worked half the time. Sometimes I would push it, it would work instantly. Other times it just wouldn't. The game also targets droids that are miles away from you. I learned very quickly to ignore the auto targeting because it will pull you away from where most of the action is going to be. And there's just a lot to dislike about this game. It controls reasonably well. It's a PlayStation 1 game before. It predates analog controls, really. Well, not analog sticks, but certainly analog triggers. So I get you're either full on or full off, and you can kind of work your way around that. That doesn't bother me. What does bother me is the collision detection, where if you hit something, it will slow you to a stop, and then to get from the reverse is so long, and you will just bounce off the environment until you get your ship turned around, and it kills. Like, it's a run killer and it's not fun and it looks weird. The sound effects as well, which the game looks fine for a PlayStation 1 game. I would love to see the Dreamcast version of this because I'm sure it looks a lot better. But the sound effects, let's talk sound effects now. We mute all of our gameplay so you can hear us over the game. But my goodness, there is one laser sounded for this entire game and you will hear it repeatedly, and it is piercing, it is low fidelity, and it is painful to your ears. And speaking of pain, the control scheme for this game induced a whole heap of pain for me. To fire your gun, it is L2 and R2, and you play most of your time just constantly hitting those two triggers, and you'll get carpal tunnel syndrome. It hurt my fingers after about 40 minutes, and I had to take a break to play another 20 minutes of it, and within 10 minutes of coming back to it, I was like, no, this hurts. This I'm not enjoying this game. This game is not a good game. Was it a good challenge? Yes. Was it a good game? No. This is available via the Classics catalog on PlayStation Plus. It's also available to buy for $7.99. Do I recommend buying this at $7.99? No. No, I do not. You can buy Racer's Revenge for $7.99, and that is 10 times the Star Wars game of this. But was it a good challenge? Yes, it was a good challenge, and it was an interesting score there. So it was Cardinal, if my memory serves me right, got 23 kills, and Tomahawk and myself got 36 kills, which means it's table update time. And after 11 games, the episode before the finale, we are going into the finale with the league looking like this. In the Cardinal position is Cardinal Smith with 26 points because he came second. He came second. So he gets 2 points. In second place on 36 points is Tomahawk. But leading the way also on 36 points is me. And that is because me and Tomahawk drew with a winning score. So both of us get 3 points. And that means going into finale, Tomahawk and me are drawing on points, and Cardinal is 10 points behind, which means you know how we work our finales here, folks. The scoring systems are usually all out of whack, which means going into finale, this is anybody's league, but Cardinal has a lot of ground to make up. And for Tomahawk and me, we have very little room for error. One slip, one slide, and it could end my title charge or his title charge. And I'm just going to tell you right now, Tomahawk, because I know you're listening to this, I will be right on your shoulder, mate, waiting for any slip for me to capitalize on. I am taking this league. I've been top most of this season. So is Tomahawk, to be fair. I know he would want to win this. I definitely want to win this. I am winning this. And with all that being said, let's get to the wrap-up section. And that is it, folks. Another episode all wrapped up. And almost another season all wrapped up. We have one more challenge left. It's the finale, which means it's going to be a big one, which means there's going to be big points on the table. That's the good news. The finale is going to be huge. But with all good news, bad news isn't far behind. And here's the bad news. The finale is not going to be next Monday. Because if you can't tell, getting the three of us together for record this past week and this week we're currently in is impossible. Our schedules are just far too full, which means we're going to have to push back the finale by at least 1 week. Now, we're hoping that it is only 1 week, and it doesn't mean we're going to skip an episode. There will still be an episode of High Scores, High Stakes next week, but it will be a side quest. So it will. So we're hoping we have one side quest and then we come back straight into the finale. But we promise you, the finale is coming really soon, and it is going to be big because the stakes are absolutely massive. And the storylines we have to conclude here are crazy. Can Cardinal overcome all the odds and become the first ever 3-time High Scores, High Stakes champion? Can Tomahawk capitalize on what hasn't been a vintage Lova season? I still find myself top. Can he capitalize on any mistake I make in a finale and take home his second High Scores, High Stakes trophy? Or can I go the distance? Can the podcast Big Dog, the undisputed serial winner of this podcast, go and be the first man in history to go back to back and also be the first ever 3-time High Scores, High Stakes champion? That's the stakes. That's what's on the line for all three of us. We all have our aims, we all have our goals, we all have our obstacles to overcome here. But the finale is coming. It's going to be big. You do not want to miss it. If you want to leave a comment on what you're playing, leave another comment. Who is going to win this season? I will put a poll up actually on Spotify, I'll put a poll up. If you're listening to this anywhere else, leave a comment what you're playing and who is going to take home high scores, high stakes, golds. And let's just dive into the housekeeping then. If this is your first time listening to us, or if this is your 160th time listening to us, if you haven't yet, give us a star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. Please do that now. 1 star to 5, whatever you think we're worth, that's what we get. If you've done that but you haven't given us a written review, please do that, because that feeds algorithms and tells Spotify and Apple and all those ones, this is a good podcast, more people should hear it. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment, and also hit that hype button as well. Let's get more eyes on this podcast. And if this truncated, shorter episode isn't enough to fill your week, go to highscoreshighstakes.com, and there you'll find every episode we have ever made in video form, and every challenge game we've ever played has a little mini review. And we also have a lot more content planned for that website, as well as a little bit of a redesign to get it working even better than what it is now. But highscoreshighstakes.com is the place to go. With all of that being said, I have nothing left to say except I'll be Mr. Lova Lova. This has been High Scores, High Stakes. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Monday. Love you all. Bye.